You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I gotta tell you something I could do. I could be running around chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, life. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. And you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle that I had my ways. Around your mind tricks and your side chicks, I'm away.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
VICKtorious! VICKtorious!
Happy Friday, Junior, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Dr. VICKtorious. I am Dr. VICKtorious. So glad to have you here. This is the show where we explore the intersections of social justice, wellness, and what it means to show up fully human and fully Black, because that's what I am. Hey, I'm your host, as I said, Dr. Nicole D. Vick. I have a special guest today. We're not going to pull him up just yet, but I want to talk about what we're going to talk about today. I have a good friend. I feel like I've been trying to figure out how long I've known this person. I think about 20 years. I think. And I've just watched him not grow, because he already grown, but progress and think, as he's moved through life, and been so excited about his journey. And I'm just really proud to know him and happy to know him. I saw him, that must have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, and wasn't expecting to. So I was like, yay, day made. Woo. He is Dr. Dante Morrison. He's an author he actually has several books. This latest one is called Faithful and Forgotten. And it's an exploration about the Black church's theology, traditions, and Eurocentric interpretations of Christianity, and how they shape its treatment of Black men who have sex with men. So excited. I have learned a lot from Dante over the years. He had a podcast, Digging Deep with Dante. So, every week. Oh my gosh, watch that, because it was so informative. He has a engaging way of working with folks. He used to come to my classes when I taught at Occidental College. I think even at Cal State LA, probably. I'm not sure. But I was always to bring him along, and because I knew he had this way of speaking to people and relating to people that they usually would pay attention, because a lot of times you bring folks in and they just be dry. Not this brother. No, dry is not in his vocabulary. So anyway, we'll get to meet him in just a little bit. But before we do, you know what's next? The stroll. I'll be scrolling and strolling all through the social media world, and I got to talk through some of the things that I have seen over the past week or so that have been so exciting. Things that made me say, what? Or things where my mouth dropped open like, what? So the first one is this cornbread conundrum. Child, this is the remnants of Thanksgiving. Because remember I told y'all, I'm like, where's all the Thanksgiving memes? I didn't really see a lot of them coming up through the holidays. But I saw this on Threads where she was like, oh, I thought the cornbread was burnt, but then I cut into it and saw that it was on point. And if you look at that graphic, you will see what I said. I said, on what point is, wait a minute, what point is we talking about, ma'am? That comment, my simple comment got so many likes, and people were like, the point of no return. I got DMs like, wait a minute, she should be embarrassed. Why are you posting your burnt cornbread? I don't know, man. It was so funny to see, just that little funny little thing. Cause I'm like, baby, that cornbread, I don't know what you mean. It was on point. Even if you cut the burnt away, don't you know that burnt smell and flavor permeates the. Throw that cornbread in the trash and try again, please. Please and thank you. All right, the next one. Now I seen this. And for real, my mouth dropped. I don't know. Maybe other people saw it coming. I didn't see it. I was like, for real? I sent it to my daughter. So Miss Candy Burris is divorcing her husband. And they've been married for about 11 years now. And they have 2 children together. And apparently this has been something that has been brewing for a while. And then she finally decided to file, I think it was November 21st. So more to come. Candy's kind of quiet, she don't really talk much about her private life. So, and she's not on, what's the name, at Housewives anymore. So, and maybe that was on purpose too. Like, let me get off of there because they're gonna dig all up in that. So let me back up off of that. I think that was intentional. But I wish her the best. I wish him the best. I wish the kids, because it's always hard when a family, breaks up in that way. The kids, trying to figure things out. And so there's going to be a lot of navigation to ponder and deal with. So wishing them the best. But if divorce is the answer, then divorce is the answer. And I know she probably got an airtight prenup, so she'll be all right. And then the last one, I love when I see reparations in real life, where there's like a real life example of, hey, we're going to fix something that was wrong. And so I saw this and was like, yes. So according to Black Enterprise, the city of Santa Monica here in California has agreed to a $350,000 settlement with the descendants of a Black entrepreneur whose plans to open a Black beach club were derailed when his land was unjustly seized in the 1950s. So that whole eminent domain where, it's your house, but and then they decide it's not your house no more, and they're going to take it from you, and then they're going to do something else with it. They're talking about that sort of thing. And so the family was able to prove, hey, we were going to do a thing, and we were going to be successful at it until the city decided they wanted to use it for something else and took it unfairly. There was really no reason for them to take it. And so they're going to give them some money. I still always feel like that's not enough money. $350,000. They're going to name a portion of the city near where the I think it's where the auditorium is in Santa Monica. They're going to rename it after Mr. Silas. I think his last name is, let me see, I'm tripping. It's right here. Silas White. They're going to rename this a portion of the street after him. And so it's really, really important. And there was a statement by the mayor, like, you know what? Hey, we have to make an effort to right the wrongs that have been done in the past. And I agree. Same thing with Bruce's Beach, like give them their land back. And I'm really glad that, for example, the county supervisors gave the land back to the descendants of the Bruce family of Bruce's Beach. Now, I always said too, though, yes, give me my land back. And think about the amount of money over the years that family lost out on in earned income because their land was taken from them. So give it back and run me some coin, because there's also lost income. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that conversation isn't brought up, but that's how I feel about that. So that's the stroll for this week. I didn't want it to be too long because I really, really, really want to dig into this conversation with Dr. Dante Morrison. So we're going to go to commercial break, and then we're going to jump right in because I feel like this is such an important conversation to be had. All right. I'll see y'all in a little bit.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
We are back. We are back, and I'm so excited. I want to bring, let's bring him on. My friend, Dr. Dante Morrison. Let's bring him on. He's going to come on and talk about his book, and I just want to jump right in. So come on down.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, Doc.
I love it. Hey, let me just say this real quick. For those that may not know, yes, Nicole and I have been friends for over 17 years. And Nicole is the reason that I went back to school. When I met Nicole, I had a bachelor's degree. And Nicole said, "Are you done?" I said, "Yeah, I'm done." She says, "No, you got to keep going." I said, No, I'm done. I'm done. I got my bachelor's. I'm the first in the family, breaking generational cycles. 4 years is enough. She said, "Keep going." Went and got the master's. I'm like, okay, I caught you. I got a master's now. Then I went and got the doctorate. Guess who didn't have their doctorate yet? This one right here. So not only she pushed me to get a master's, then I got a doctorate before she did. So I'm just saying, but it's all about pushing each other to greatness. So yes.
Exactly. And I feel like positive peer pressure is the way to go, because I said, hold on, you ain't gonna leave me back here. What in the world? And
right.
So I had to, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, man, that ain't
right.
right. But I mean, and okay, on the other side of the coin, you were the one with the podcast, with the video podcast. And then when I wrote my first book, I was like, well, I guess I need to say something. I clearly got something to say, so let me try to do this too. So again, I think what we're talking about is sort of this positive peer pressure, not really even peer pressure, but it's just like, I see
iron
you do
sharpens
it.
Iron. Yeah.
Right. I can do it too, because you can do it. And so, you know, I think that's what we've really been good at over the years. So I'm just glad
they need to see more melanated doctors anyway. They need to know that we exist and we're out there and you can do it, because I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I don't know about you, but you know, I had to go through the trenches to get to where I'm at. So just let everybody know you can do it. And then back to just real quick about your stroll. I love that. That settlement money, that is nothing. You can't even buy a house in California for $350,000. And we're talking Santa Monica. That is oceanfront property. $350,000. That is a drop in the bucket. That is nothing. It's not much you can do with that amount of money in LA. But I'm glad they're getting something. But still, they should get $100,000 for each year that they didn't have that property.
That's what I'm trying.
That's how they should get paid back. That family should be set. But $350,000. That's just like, okay, here, just shut up. Go take this.
That's what I'm trying to say. Nobody thinks about that. Oh, well, at least they get that. No. You're not understanding the amount of income that they lost over the years from the day that they seized that property until today.
Until today. A cheap house in LA is $500,000. That's a cheap fixer-upper. So $350,000, you can't even get a condo for that. So, and we're talking about a whole family. They disrupted their generational wealth. It was disrupted. And but I guess kudos to Santa Monica, I guess. But
and I mean, think about how much heavy lifting it took to probably even get that, right? So I mean, like you said, but right.
So anyway.
And I want to make a note. Cyrus says, I like that pushing each other to higher heights, to greater heights, actually, is what it said.
That's I mean, that's what we do. Accountability. It's healthy accountability. So 100%.
Absolutely. So you wrote a book. Well, you actually have several books, but we're talking about one book in particular.
We're talking about one book,
that is that's focused on your research, right? Your dissertation, right? Is this where your book? Okay.
Yes, indeed.
So what inspired you to write this book, and why was now the right time for it?
God, it's a every time I get asked this question, you know, people probably like, you said that already. Well, it's the same reason. Right. just my life growing up in the Black church, and experiencing all the things that comes along with that, and realizing that there are a lot of voiceless individuals who have just been alienated and ostracized due to their sexual orientation. And if we're going to talk about the church, we're supposed to be a safe space for everyone to come and worship God. Why are we alienating individuals that God created? And I think from just witnessing that and seeing the trauma and seeing how it has played a significant role in how a lot of same gender loving men engage in relationships, how they date, how they love, how they're intimate, all of that takes place. All of that starts from just their spiritual upbringing, and not to be made to feel like you're a whole person or a valued person or a person worthy of affirmation. So if the faith community is lacking in positive support of marginalized individuals, you're pushing them down a road of self-destruction. And from that, I realized somebody has to say something from a practical perspective. Now, of course, we have a lot of, I would say, very high level, research about the subject, but I want to be practical and approachable because I'm still in the community that I'm talking about. I am still a part of the Black church. I am clergy. I still operate in the traditional church system. And I wanted to be someone that they can call on, that they can see in a day-to-day kind of experience, to know that, God loves you. God got your, God is with you, and you can't let the opinions or the misunderstandings of man cause you to feel less than. Don't shrink because someone else doesn't understand you.
That's amazing. You said so many things. It's 3 things I heard. First of all, safe spaces and how important safe spaces are, specifically to Black people. Even in my own research, and I was talking, my researchers were on with a workspace, and Black folk were asking for safe space. And typically for us, safe spaces is not work. It is church. It is the barbershop. It's the beauty salon. It's the nail salon. And we have created these spaces so that we can be and bring our full true selves. And what I hear you saying is that in this space that has been deemed safe, for a safe space for us for years, for generations, that for some of us in our community, it's not a safe space, right? You can't bring your full self, and you have to hold part of yourself back. And so it just feels really, it's an interesting topic because, like I said, oftentimes for Black people, there is no safe space. It ain't work. You can't go to work and be safe. You're not safe at school. And so for us, a lot of us, it's church. But you're saying right now that church, and for some people, is not safe. So that's a really interesting thing. And then the other thing I heard, so that's actually 2 things in one. And then the third thing I heard you say is about making this research relatable. And I think that's also really important, and why what you said earlier matters, why we need people that look like us in these spaces, because we have the lived experience and we know how to make it make sense. Like not to poo-poo academians, whatever you call them, the people up there in the ivory tower. Listen, hey, hello. I need to make this plain, and make this real, and make this relevant. Even how we decide what to study, I think is also really, really important, because like for mine, nobody was talking to Black people that work in public health. So like you said, in your case, nobody was talking to folks that had the experience that you had. And so I really appreciate that you are highlighting some really, really important things that are really valid, and especially with the Black experience. So one of the things I want to talk about as well is sort of the Black church's legacy. And I kind of touched on it just a second ago. What do you see as the Black church's greatest historical contributions to Black life and liberation? And if you want to, can you kind of sit that alongside some of the challenges that you found in your research? I don't know if you want to do a compare and contrast.
That's a deep question. But thankfully I'm smart, because I was like, like, oh, that's a lot. But no, I think one thing we cannot erase the fact that the Black church was critical in a lot of social justice movements. We cannot erase that. And I know that a lot of people are like, I hate church, don't church me, whatever. I'm never going back there again. That's all fine and good. But in those critical moments, when we had to come together as a community, the Black church was that space. The Black church is where you went to learn about what is going on politically, where you went to learn about how we're going to form, how we're going to come together, how we're going to create unity so we can go out and fight these systems that are constantly trying to oppress us. The Black church did provide that. What I think happened was, once we got this illusion of freedom, because trust, This illusion of freedom, and we just became a little bit more grand in our way of navigating life, thinking that all was well, that we're now 100% of the person and all that. The Black church kind of shifted, that approach shifted. And what happened over time is that those who became newer to the Black church, they erased all the past efforts and all the past work, and their focus became on something else completely. It's like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but let's not forget that the Black church was formed out of revolt to white supremacist approaches to Christianity. So the white Christian had their way of approaching God, reading the Bible, accessing God, worshiping God, the whole nine, to whereas Black people, our approach to God was filled with a lot of lamenting. We had a lot of God save us, God spare us, God help us, God please, God please, God please. You know, we came to God like this, like, Lord, we need you. White folks, I'm not saying all, but the white church approach to God was, we're truly made in your image. Because we got to be honest about that. Jesus was Black. I don't care how you want to spin it, how you want to say it. Jesus was Black. And there's proof of that in the Bible when they hid the baby Jesus amongst the people. Now, if Jesus was blonde-haired and blue eyes, it's no way he could have been hidden in the Middle East. He would have stuck out like a sore thumb. Right. So he had to look like the people where he was born. But for some reason, that kind of teaching, that kind of education, that kind of empowerment has been lost within the Black church. And that becomes a source of trauma when it comes to people who are still thinking that Jesus is blonde-haired and blue-eyed, because subconsciously, if you see Jesus looking like the man who oppressed you, you're not going to push back against your oppressor because you feel like you're pushing back against God. And that is that mindset. But I still think the Black church has a significant base within the Black community where it really could be this core location for us to come together, unify, and synergize efforts to push back against the white supremacist ideologies that are out there. But we have to realize that, one, we're not free. Two, we are still Black. And I don't care how they may shake our hands or smile or whatever, we are still Black in a very racist country. And I don't say that loosely, but we can see right now in modern times that American racism is more prevalent now than it's ever been before. And it is showing its ugly face. So we have to find some kind of way as a church to realize we got to do some real work to bring us back to the core of why we started, and then build upon that.
And I also wonder, and so here I go, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I don't go to church. I don't. I did in my early days. My parents, sent me to Sunday school, and I went to parochial school for elementary school and high school. But at some point in time, I don't know. That was just something that's probably a whole different episode. But I was like, I'm okay, and I went my own kind of. I'm good. Right. But I think, because I have had some experience and I understand some of it, and thankful to people like you who helped me understand. I also will say that one of the things that also may have shifted and changed is that, or let me say it differently. I think the other part of it is the legacy of the Black church. Like you said, they've been the forefront of so many social justice movements. Somewhere along the way, we decided that some people are safe and others are not, or some are good and some are bad. And to me, that follows that white supremacist model that you're talking about, right? So that's why we get to a situation where Black men who have sex with men, Black women who have sex with women are marginalized in these spaces because they're, for some reason, have aligned themselves, perhaps. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like perhaps that's what started to happen when that illusion of freedom came along, that we started to kind of align ourselves with that white supremacist thought process about who's valued and who's not. And like I said, I could be wrong, and I would love to hear your thoughts on that, because I'm like, well, how did we get to this homophobic place in the Black church?
It ties into Pablo Frere's study about pedagogy of the oppressed. When you think about that, we have Black people who definitely have arrived. They're very more affluent, they're upwardly mobile, and sometimes in that mindset, you feel like you've crossed over. And you begin to look down on those who have not, and you start judging, well, I made it, you can too. Why have you not made it? Similarly, when you go to sexual orientation, heterosexuality, of course, is normalized within America. It is supported, it is pushed, it is promoted. Homosexuality is shamed. It's shamed and it's abhorred. So therefore, if you're a part of the status quo, you're going to look down on those. It's going to make it appear as though they are less than you because you want to culturally assimilate to the norm. So if I am a Black, heterosexual, well-to-do man, of course, I may look at the impoverished gay man as like, yeah, something's not right. And then if I find that scripture that I have now misinterpreted to validate my judgment and my stance, now I feel really rooted in the word of God. When you've really misconstrued everything and you've now put yourself in this position to judge others, to condemn others, and that's not your role, that's not your title, that's not your job at all. And I think that's where things have just gotten misconstrued. I think that we need to level the playing field because the word of God says all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and that all is all. The Bible also says in John 3:16, for whosoever loved, and that whosoever doesn't mean whosoever is straight, whosoever is gay, whosoever is Black, whosoever is white. It's whosoever believeth on him shall not perish. So I'm a whosoever, you're a whosoever. People who are watching, you're whosoevers. So why did we feel that we have the power and position and authority to say which whosoevers are going to enter into the kingdom of God? That's not our job. That's not our job. And that's what gets lost. And those are the conversations that we really don't feel like having within the Black church, because for one, we're tired. We're tired because one, it's tiring being Black in America. And I talk in my book about intersectionality. Intersectionality is so critical. Nicole, you are a Black woman. I am a Black gay man. And when you think about our Black man who is gay, my gayness is way over there. And when you think about how we have to navigate life, when you walk into your job as Dr. Nicole Vick, yes, they will see a Black woman, but then there are Black issues you have to deal with. And then there are women issues you got to deal with. You got to pick and choose which one you feel like fighting on any given day. Are you going to be the one raising your fist saying, stop the violence, Black Lives Matter? Or are you going to be the one raising your fist saying, I have the right to choose my body, my choice? That's exhausting. I'm Black. Same fist goes up, but then I also got to walk down the street to support my trans siblings who are being bullied and killed, my gay brothers who are being bullied and killed. I got to do all that because I'm part of that community as well. I cannot deny that part of me. So we have to navigate all these spaces. We are exhausted. But then you walk into the church where you want to exhale and breathe. And it's like, now I'm being reminded per you that God does not love me. So guess what? I'm not coming here no more.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come because Pastor, I know your dirt too.
And that's
lean back. I know your dirt too. So, but your dirt is more palatable and more tolerable because your dirt has been normalized.
Right. And
your dirt is something that is familiar. Your dirt is something that the people can understand. But my dirt or my whatever, since you can't grasp it, you can't get it. I don't understand how two men can be. I don't understand that. But you can understand how the pastor can be married and have a mistress and all this on the side. You can fathom that. I don't. So it's that level of hypocrisy. Yeah. But if and my book talks about that, if we can just sit back and let God be God, all will be well.
And I honestly think that might be part of the problem, at least from my perspective. And once again, mine is a little bit limited, but at the same time, it's not, because I feel like one of the main problems is we make God small.
Right.
We as humans decide that God cares about who you sleep with, about what do. No, you got to think he's bigger than that. And my brain can see that. He's bigger than that, or she, because I'm like, here we go with that. He, she, but it is bigger than that, right?
And so God ain't American. God ain't American. Y'all make it seem like God only speak English and he lives in Texas. God is the God of the world, the whole world,
the universe.
Yeah, God is not an American English speaking white man. God speaks to all of his children in whatever language or Whatever they do, God understands them because God looks at the heart of humanity. That's what God does.
Exactly.
But we have boxed God in to be this being that we can move and maneuver at our will and put God where we feel he should be. And it's like, God is like, yo, homie, you don't own me. You don't own me like that. I created you. You're the created. I'm the creator. Right. And we begin to understand that and operate in that, we can breathe a lot easier.
And I done through the questions is over here. I'm like, anyway. So I'm like, because if you believe,
here's my book, y'all. Here's my book.
If you believe that God created all things and all the things and is everything, omnipotent, right? Omnipresent, all of the omniscient, all the things. And see, I don't go to church. I know that, right?
But you said the key word. You said if you believe. Come on, keep going. Preach, Nicole. Preach.
Then how can you say that something that was created by God is good, bad, wrong, didn't deserve to be here? Oh, how can you say that? And to me, that's common sense. Common sense.
How can you say that? How can you be so arrogant in your belief and your understanding of God that you will limit who and what he created? God didn't make you like that. Huh? What are you talking about?
What did he do? I'm confused, right?
If God knew me before I knew myself, if God knew everything about me, if on day 6, God said it is finished, I'm part of the finished, because on day 7, he rested. We are now living in the rested part. God was like, I'm done. On day 6, everything that he made was made. It was not manifest, but it was done. So he knew that old gay Dante Morrison was coming in 1972.
And he knew that.
He knew that. And he said, everything I made is good. So if you know that God made you, if you know that everything God made is good, now man can corrupt, man can destroy, man can misuse, but I am the created of God. And I think that if we begin to operate from that mindset, we'll begin to see people differently, especially Christians, because I have learned that Christians are some of the most arrogant people I've ever met. Ever. Not realizing that Christianity is the newest of all the global religions.
Right.
The absolute new. Buddhism is older than Christianity. Christianity is the new. It's the baby on the block. But for some reason, you are the most arrogant. It's like, how did we get here? How?
Well, we know, but
right.
Let me just say the comments is going, wow. Andrea is in here, my daughter, like clock it. Cyrus is in here, Kwame, everybody's like, wait. Andrea said, and then it's like how you the gatekeeper of what God like and don't like. Exactly.
How?
See, what I'm saying? So that's all I want to know. Okay, we got to get back to the conversation about this book because we have like 10 minutes left.
Right. Thank you, Cyrus.
Which one I want to ask? Which one do I want to ask? Okay. So what does exclusion or stigma often look like for Black Christian men? I don't think we talked about that. So you talked about this is happening, but what does it look and feel like for Black Christian men who have sex with men coming into this space and literally being put, like, what does that look like?
And not to sound cliche or use a overused word, it's traumatic. It is very traumatic. The trauma that exists is real. And you can oftentimes see it because there is a loathing and a disdain for anything religious. And I was talking to a few friends yesterday about the unfortunate part of faith-based sexual exclusion, which my book is all about, is that a lot of people who have experienced that, they cannot separate their trauma from the church and the love from God. Church and God are different. God loves you just how you are. The church will try to reprogram and reformat you to fit into the box that makes them the most comfortable. And because of that, people will avoid their relationship with God and walk away from it all. And I tell people all the time, you have to be centered in your understanding and your relationship of what God said about you. And that comes from building an intimate relationship with him. There are a lot of people that go to church every single Sunday, but have zero relationship with God because they know all the rudiments and regimens of church, of Sunday worship. They know what to wear. They know when to stand, when to sit, when to clap, when to sing. But when it comes down to talking to God and having a personal relationship with him, they're struggling. They don't have that. Also, the same people know the Bible inside and out, but they're still disconnected from God because they made the Bible their God. They're worshiping the Bible. It's called bibliolatry. You have made the Bible your idol. Now, the Bible is a guide. It is a book. It is beautifully written narratives that allow us to strengthen our relationship with God. However, if you don't take the time to have some meditation with your Father, to sit in silence, to sit still, to allow him to speak to you without you doing all the talking, there's going to be a disconnect. Because if you're constantly telling God what you want to do and not listening to what he is telling you to do, there's going to be something's going to be off. So those individuals who have been rejected by the church, not by God, who've been alienated by the church, not by God, who've been bashed by the church, not by God, they lump it all together. And if you are led to believe that God does not like you or God does not love you, guess what you're going to do? You're going to live your life in a way that pleases your flesh 100% of the time, because you're like, if I'm going to go to hell, then let me just go to hell. And I'm going to have the best time on earth. I'm going to do every single thing under the sun. It can also show up in very stressed relationships, because you don't have a spiritual center or a spiritual base. You're kind of off kilter. And Nicole, you work in public health. You know, we always are talking about holistic health, mind, body, mind, but we forget about spirit, mind, body, and spirit. All of that should be on the wheel. My mind can be cool because of therapy. My body can be fit because of the gym, but spiritually, I feel empty and I feel dry and I'm hungry. So until we align all that together, we're always going to be tilted like them old V8 commercials. It's going to be off. Then you got the relationships. You have the men who have been alienated or told they are not worthy. They'll get into relationships and it's only sexual. They don't allow love to come in, because if I fall in love with you, I'm really going to hell and I got to go to church on Sunday. Right. So let's just have sex. After I do what I got to do, I'm going to repent. And I'm going to tell God, I'm never going to do this again, knowing I'm lying as I'm telling God that. But I'm going to tell God that because that's what I'm supposed to say. So we get caught up in the lust of everything. It's a huge dynamic. Worst case scenario, we marry a woman. We marry a woman just for acceptance, acceptance, for toleration, to throw off all the judgment. We'll marry a woman knowing that we are not going to give her 100%. She's giving her 100. We're giving 25%, but we look good. We look good walking in church. Our kids are well-dressed and beautiful. However, at home is tension. There's an absence and there's things missing because spiritually we're not living in truth. All of that's in my book.
That's wow. I mean, and you've laid it out. And like you said, one of the things I think that I picked up on that is that you harm people along the way. You harm yourself and you harm other people, right? Yeah. Because you're not being true to who you are. And in a lot of ways, and we know this, right? You're not allowed to be true to yourself. You're not allowed to walk in who you are. And so that's really, we got to. And that's
that intersection. I can't be true to who I am because the world bashes me. I can't be true to who I am because the church bashes me. I can't be true to who I am because my family bashes me, because my family is part of the world and church. So there is no safe space for me to exist. So I walk around living in this facade of heterosexualism. And on the inside, I am tormented because I just want to be free. And the only way to be free is to break away from everything. And that's why you see them kids, they leave the South and they'll come to California. They'll go to New York to live their true, honest life, because they can't do that down in rural America. They can't do that in the Bible Belt. So they will leave and hop on the first thing smoking to get to the big city. And when they get to the big city, guess what? The big city eats them alive. Eats them alive. And then next thing you know, we see them homeless. We see them on meth. We see them doing sex work. We see them in and out of very toxic relationships. We see all of that. But the Black church does not want to hold themselves accountable for the part they play in faith-based sexual exclusion and what it does to the mindsets of our communities.
Man.
And I know we only got 3 minutes. I know how power works. So let me touch it down. I don't want you to get fined because you got Ike behind the screen. Fine.
I had two things I want you to kind of talk about in your closing. If a pastor or church leader is watching right now, what is one action they could take this week to begin moving towards inclusivity? And then, and for Black MSM who have been harmed, what message do you hope this book gives them?
Got it. For the second part, I hope this book lets them know that their voices are being heard. I want them to know that I am living proof of what they're going through, that I get it. I understand 100%. And my book was written to give them some kind of light or a beacon to let them know there is something happening out there to create safe spaces so they can walk back into the place that they love. A lot of Black gay Christian men love church, but they are sick of the systems. Secondly, for the pastors, I'm going to challenge you. What is God telling you to do? A lot of pastors, and I talk about this in my book, a lot of pastors, believe it or not, have no problem with the gay community. They have no problem with same-gender loving individuals. Many of them have even told me, I do not think gay people are going to hell. However, we got to understand church is a business. If a pastor comes out and says that, folks is pulling their money and their pocketbooks, and they're going somewhere else where the gays can get bashed. So if that pastor is relying on the church to support his lifestyle, he can't do that. But I want those pastors, if you want the book, reach out to me, hit me up, and let's begin to navigate how you can engage inclusive conversations, how you can promote inclusivity within your space of worship. And no, it's not going to happen overnight. It may take more than a year to really massage your church to a place where they're ready to even have the conversations. But I am a safe individual to invite to your church to have conversations with your congregation, to really unpack this, to talk about this. I am very safe. I'm very healthy. I'm not going to come in and storm the gates and try to make you turn and change. No, let's have healthy, mature discourse about why you feel the way you feel and how that goes against the way God says we're supposed to love one another.
I love it. I love it. You are providing such a wonderful service to the community by offering that. I think that's amazing. And then I just want to thank you again for contributing to the research. Again, we sometimes, folks are researching stuff and I'm like, you ain't asking the right questions. Right. Why you ain't? This is the question. And I appreciate you for bringing this research forward in such an important way, in such a meaningful way. So Faithful and Forgotten is the book, y'all. How can they find your book?
Go to my website, www.dantemorrison.com. You can go ahead and purchase it directly from me, or you can just go to Amazon if you want to get it on Amazon and get it shipped to you overnight. And just another big announcement, my fourth book drops on December 8th. My next book comes out on December 8th. It's going to be on my website, on Amazon and all that. And this one is talking about how to navigate life when God goes silent. When you don't hear God talking, what do you do? How do you handle that? So that book is based upon a season in my life where God was just quiet. So that comes out on Monday. So I am so excited about that. Look forward to it. So we can get back on and talk about that. Listen.
Oh, we sure can. And look, here I go. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I got to write another book because I'm behind. Hold on.
Keep up, sis. Keep up. Iron sharpens iron.
I'm like, wait a minute. I got to write another book.
Don't get left behind now.
Nah. We got to go on a book tour. We got to go on tour or something, a little book tour.
Exactly.
This has been great. Talk about some of the other things. There's something else you're doing. You have a streaming. Can you talk about that? Tell the people.
I have I co-own a streaming platform called Watch Vim. So it's WATCHVIM. So my first two books, The End of the Rainbow and Yesterday Clarified, were based upon my life and my experience going through some traumatic relationships that resulted in me contracting HIV and all of that. So that's my first two books. I took my first book and I turned it into a series called 30, just the number 30. And that's available on Watch Vim, but it's also on Amazon Prime. And then my latest film that I wrote, produced, and directed is called Franklin, and that's on Watch Vim as well. So I own that platform. It is full of all kind of content. Basically, it's like Tubi. It's like Tubi and Netflix and Pluto and Freebie and all those. So just go ahead and check that out. Just subscribe to Watch Vim. It's only $5 a month. When I tell folks $5 a month, they be like, "Ooh, God, that's a lot."
No,
What?
it's not.
But y'all
Netflix is
talking
like,
about, yeah, y'all talking about support Black business and black out this and go. And I'm like, it's $5 a month. It's owned by 3 Black men. We own it. We're pushing it out. So come on, support us. I do that. I also do a lot of work within communities of color to promote sexual health. So I do HIV workshops all across the state. I really believe in making sure people know about HIV. My 9 to 5, I am the director of community engagement and outreach at the UCLA Care Center. So I am helping to bridge gaps between communities of color and UCLA Care, because we have preeminent physicians at Care, but of course, because of stigma and medical mistrust, a lot of people who could benefit from our services don't want to come over there because we're in like the Beverly Hills, Century City area. So they feel I'm not going to be welcome. I'm like, yes, you are. If you walk in, you're going to see me. I'm going to walk you through it. You're going to see someone that looks like you, loves like you, understands where you've been. I get it. So we have to make sure that we are getting the best care possible. I'm somebody that's been living with HIV for almost 30 years, and I'm not embarrassed to say that. I love talking about that, but I want to make sure people know that I am here because I was in care, I was in treatment, I did what needs to be done to make sure I can have a long and healthy life. I want to make sure that others who are like me are also in care, in treatment with the provider that they can grow from. So that's really what it's all about. So I do a lot of community work, community engagement, 4 books, 3 movies on a platform and all of that. So I'm trying to make it happen. And if anybody wants to, come to church, if you're in the LA area, come on out to Church One Ministries in Long Beach, 700 East 70th Street, Long Beach, California, 90805. Come on out and be a part of that. You can meet me in person, but also take part in a phenomenal worship experience. My pastor is Bishop W. Todd Irvin. And because of him, I've been able to really just do what I do in the spaces that I do, because without that spiritual support, it's kind of difficult to have these conversations. I don't want to be out there just talking willy-nilly all by myself. So I have the support of my spiritual father, who really just helps me, pushes me, and encourages me to keep going. So come on out.
I love that. And talking about you're doing the thing, and very much appreciate you for being in the spaces that you're in and always pushing the envelope. Like, that's why I think, especially for me, that's why I like you so much and love you so much, because you're very authentic. You don't ever go nowhere and just be like, yes, hello. You be like, no, what's the problem? What's going on?
I love it.
Thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to go for a quick commercial break. I think. Let me see what the man behind the plan.
Right, check with the producer.
Let's just do a quick commercial break, and then we're going to do the doctor's notes to close out. But it was so good to have you on tonight, Dante, Dr. Dante. All right, let's go to commercial, and then we'll close it out.
What's going on, y'all? It's Kwame Speaks from Kwame Speaks Live, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, let's go straight to the doctor's notes. This is where I give you a summary, kind of what I feel like. Ooh, this is what stood out to me. First and foremost, I was honest. I don't have a faith belief system right now in my life, and I feel like that's perfectly okay and it's fine. But if you do, I think it's really important to challenge your assumptions, challenge why you believe what you believe. Where's that thought process and belief system coming from? So if you are aligned with the Christian faith and you feel like, well, why are we anti-gay? Why are we like, what is that? Question that. there's, talk to Dr. Dante, and there's others on Instagram. No, I can't think of his name right now. I think it's Dr. Christian Smith. He's really good at that as well. Like, hey, you can be Christian. It's still challenge some of these beliefs that we are being taught about why we hate certain people or dislike certain people. So I think that's my one takeaway is challenge why you feel the way you feel or believe the way you believe, right? Because there's oftentimes an underlying reason for that, right? And Dante talked about that earlier, about this whole white supremacy culture and sort of how we sort of tend to lean in that direction. So I think that's one thing, challenge your assumptions and keep an open mind and an open heart. I think those are also really, really important. Also, I think I will say the last thing is do your research. There are people in these spaces that are asking the right questions and are doing the really relevant research. So pick up a copy of this book. Heck, if you want my copy, I'll give it to you. I pay for it. I'll give you my copy if you really want to read and find out more information. Okay. So yes. Oh, Cyrus says, I really enjoyed this show. Thank you, Dr. Vick and Dr. Dante. Yes, thank you. I'm so glad you stopped by. Thank you, Andrea, for stopping by. So excited. Thank you, Dr. Dante. We might have to have you come back, talk about your new book and some other things. But let me go ahead and close for real. All right, y'all. You can find me on social media and my website. I have a fabulous website. We just did some changes to it today. www.nicoledvick.com. Made some updates and edits, and we'll continue to update and edit it over the next few weeks or so, just to kind of address some things that are coming up for me that are new. And then you can also find me on social media. So my LinkedIn is still very active. LinkedIn is where you go if you want to hire me to train your staff on workforce development topics such as psychological safety, retention, and all those good things. My Instagram, my new Instagram is Dr. VICKtorious. That's where you'll find all the podcast stuff and all those great things. Also, remember, I am an author. I have a couple books. Those two on the screen were Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson, and then a journal called Push Through, 52 Weeks of Light in Tough Times. There's also an anthology. I'm like, woo, that was a lot of syllables. Woo! Triumph in the Trenches, which is also about workforce, specifically Black folks in the workspace and how we try to navigate. And so it's 21 other professionals writing about their experiences as Black folk at work. There's actually now 3 volumes of Triumph in the Trenches. I'm in volume 1, but there's 2 other ones. So it really is a big deal, this book here. All right, y'all, I don't have nothing else. I think next week I want to talk about holiday shopping, shopping Black, shopping local, and give you some ideas if you need a little help. And we will close on out. We will see you next week. I keep wanting to keep talking, but I'm like, we gotta go. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.